Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for another movie review. This is straight from Matt Vaughn, and we're talking about Argylle. Argylle is about a character that's played by Bryce Howard, named Elly. She's an accomplished spy novelist, and unfortunately, and fortunately for her, she gets a bit of a taste of what a spy would go through. So this is starring Dua Lipa, Henry Cavill, Bryce Dallas Howard, as I said, Sam Rockwell, John Cena, Ariana DeBose, Samuel Jackson, Bryan Cranston, and the list goes on and on and on. But I have here my co-hosts Lucas and Jorge. What's going on, gents?
What's going on?
That is the most amount of attention I'm going to give to this movie. And we're just going to go by the numbers on what we thought about it. I'm going to preface it by saying initially I saw the trailer and I really wasn't pressed to see this, but I did, as from a critic standpoint, I wanted to go and see what we got because I did like some of the things that Matthew Vaughn has done in the past, and I was curious to see what this was going to be. But let's go ahead and get straight into it. Far as what our take on this movie was, what did we come out of it feeling? Let's just go straight from the numbers.
Wing and a miss.
Who's going first?
I think we can all unanimously go because the truth of the matter is this wasn't it.
Yeah.
This unfortunately
wasn't good at all.
There you go. That's the best way to put it.
It just wasn't it.
Just to go more to actually act like, I'm going to review the film. It's not executed well. It strays too far away from its source material, and because so, the film suffers tremendously because of it. The film decides to unnecessarily connect it to a greater universe, which also makes no sense for a Matthew Vaughn film at this point. But for the source material and Elly being a real person, because that's actually the author of the actual book, and for it to go down the way it does in this film, it's just baffling the decisions that were made.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
See?
No, yeah, I did what he says. And the thing I love about Matthew Vaughn at times is his approach to sometimes dramatic scenes as well as action. But in some of his better action films, the action scenes are really comical. And they double down on comedic things that happen. There's an actual dance sequence gunfight with a lot of colors and bright sparkles. And this is not a rated R movie. I'm going to make sure you guys know that there's not any blood in this movie whatsoever. So there's a lot of death, a lot of action. But if you go from, like what Lucas says, segue, the way they pace it in the very beginning, I was getting very bored very early on in the movie. And it was the way that they were trying to splice and make it feel really smart in its approach to what is going on with the story. But even once you get to the punchline of what's happening, you're able to predict every single segment and moment. And it's crazy to me when you have such great talent in this that they play it by the numbers, comical, predictable, and it's paced over long. This is a very long movie. But Jorge, I'm gonna shoehorn it over to you.
Yeah.
What do you want to tag from that?
No, I think this is basically right now going into like when you have something that you think is good and you start throwing everything at it and nothing is sticking. Like, I think realistically, if you like the Marvels, you may like this movie. Because there's a cat in it, there's some singing and dancing that has absolutely no need to be in the movie where it is, just like in the Marvels. There's so many misses in this movie, and this I think falls into you get a lot of big names in a movie, and that's all you're getting are big names because you're not getting good acting, you're not getting anything. Like this was the worst January movie I've seen, and I've seen rough ones this January, and this is number one right now.
Yeah. it's hard because even the cat wasn't even real. The cat was CG the whole movie. Like even in moments where the cat's just straying along for no reason, like the cat is a CGI cat.
Yeah,
and they try to allow certain moments of charisma with certain actors to kind of bleed through. They try to surprise you with certain surprises that happen in this movie, towards how they approach Bryce's character, towards how they approach Henry Cavill's character. And unfortunately, they all don't land. I think the only thing that I can give a positive to this movie is that Sam Rockwell is a good time. But even towards the back half of the movie, I didn't even care because of they tried to shoehorn something that really didn't cohesively work to me. Feels like they kind of threw something in that was supposed to make sense. And I guess from a predictability standpoint, it made sense, but it just did not work, unfortunately. But I'm gonna preface it like this: why did this film not work, in y'all's opinion? What was it about this that? What is the minute detail that made it not work? Because we already know. I mean, it doesn't have that grotesque violence to make the comedic action scenes work. We know it didn't have decent acting that much in this, and we know that it didn't have good comedy necessarily either. But what was the reason why this wasn't an entertaining ride? Because it could have been, but it wasn't.
Because it strayed too far away from the source material. That's the best way to, without spoiling anything. It's people who know what this book is. It's people who enjoy this book. It's people who are going to go in this book expecting a certain character that literally is the lead in the book is not in the movie. That's the best way to, not in the movie until the end of the movie. All the way to the credits, this person's not in the movie. And I think that is a way where you're tricking your audience immediately because you have a loyal base here that loves the book. So they would have went to go see this film. But then you decide to do a spoof of a spy film with no humor, but with moments where you thought it would bring humor. It's confusing.
Yeah.
Jorge, what's your take?
I honestly feel this is like prime example of wasting all your budget on the actors and not caring about the rest. It's almost like you're trying to have a beautiful Michelin star meal, but you spent all your money on like the homemade bread and you forgot about the meal. Like that's what I equate this to. Like it just, you look at some of the people that are in this movie, and I mean, Henry Cavill, you think about him in like Mission Impossible, you think about him in all these other like great action movies where you could have done something kind of cool with him. You did nothing with him, you know? And you gave him a terrible haircut. You look at like Bryan Cranston, who's a phenomenal actor, and he did better in Power Rangers than he did in this movie.
Oh, not Zordon.
Yeah, like that's where it was like this just fell flat in every little bit of hope that you had like throughout it. It's just like like people love or hate John Cena, but that dude can make he can make a fool of himself and will make people laugh. You didn't even use that.
He wasn't in the movie that much.
Yeah, like
he should have been a certain character in this movie should have been
replaced.
John Cena.
Right,
should have been that character.
Right. Yeah,
that's all it takes. It's very
much
simple.
better. Yeah, and it's little things where it's like, this is a perfect example of fitting a round peg in a square peg in a round hole. Like they tried and tried and tried, and they just never got it.
And
or worse yet, this is a $200 million movie.
No.
And its effects don't look like it's worth $200 million.
Gosh, that first the very opening scene, there is a motorcycle that is cruising through some town, and that is probably the cheesiest CGI that I've seen in a while.
Yes.
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, we've already let you guys know that the cat is CGI for the majority of the movie. And this is the weird thing for me is that Matthew Vaughn creatively does make some really dope action scenes. I've seen him be able to make it. And I think he tries in this, but the way that they're executing it it's too silly. It's too silly to even make any sense.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It was frustrating. I think the movie for me was frustrating because I initially saw the trailer and I really wasn't pressed, and I was kind of like, I'll give it a chance. And every single moment, either one, I was getting really tired. Two, I was like, what in the world are we watching? Or three, I was predicting every small little moment that was about to happen. And that's not something you want from something that's just supposed to entertain you and thrill you. We've seen too many other good movies that have been insanely crazy and be entertaining. So yeah, so let's go ahead and just kind of nail in the coffin with this. Final thoughts and A to F rating.
Matthew Vaughn needs to leave these type of big cast, semi-pseudo spoof action movies to Guy Ritchie. That's who does them. He does them well. This is not your lane. And with the amount of money that Apple threw at you to do this movie, it's amazing that this was the product that came out. So my grade for Argylle is an F for failure. That's a good F for failure. That's a good way to go.
Jorge.
Final
thoughts. Grade.
My drive to the theater was more exciting and more entertaining, and it took me an hour and a half to get there because I was stuck in a lot of traffic. So that alone will tell you what I thought. No, I give this. I think this is the first major bomb of the year. Like Night Swim, a lot of people talked about that movie and it sucked and whatever, but you kind of expect that from, and I hate saying it, but from something like that. But when you have this type of cast, you expect something to go with it, and this was like a bait and switch to me. So yeah, I give this a fatty F.
Mm-hmm. The things that I would have loved is good, decent choreographed action, craziness, a decent score, decent VFX towards the action, or even a compelling character that you rally behind. And they give you all these different surprises, but ultimately it lands flat and it's $1 too short, unfortunately. This was not it for me, and it wasn't it for everybody here. This is unfortunately for me a F. But yeah, but please don't take our word for it. Go and check it out for yourself. But you heeded our sentiments. Let us know what you think of Argylle, and I believe it's going to be releasing out very soon. So please let us know in the comments what you think.
It comes out Friday. Friday, February 2nd. Go to your local theaters and check out Argylle.
I was trying to give Argylle a break, but you know what? Yep,
this Friday. It's nothing wrong. Hey, maybe someone will like it, and if you do like it, please comment on our video below so we could question your sanity, because that's what
I would love to talk to them, just to have them kind of like it. Maybe they like one of the characters, and maybe they like the twist. Maybe they like Samuel Jackson just being in the movie, but it just wasn't it, unfortunately, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll be back with a lot more great coverage from different festivals, interviews, and discussions coming soon. Bye, everybody. Peace. Filing out the top of I can see the skyline, 50 mile radius on my timeline.